Chloe stared at her phone, the words from her sister-in-law, Celine, blurring on the screen. Hey Chloe, it's my rehearsal dinner tomorrow. Is it okay if I bring up your condo? Perched at her desk in the quiet high school faculty lounge, Chloe couldn't fathom why on earth her sister-in-law would want to discuss her home at a dinner meant to introduce the two families. An unsettling feeling crept into her gut, but she forced it down and typed a reply. Of course. Congratulations, Celine. I'm so happy you found someone wonderful. As she was grading final exams, a colleague's voice cut through her thoughts. Chloe, I heard Derek's sister is getting married. You must have your hands full with all the wedding planning. It's fine, Chloe said with a practiced smile. Celine is so excited. I'm happy to help out where I can. But inside, she felt a slow burn of anxiety. Celine's help questions had recently crossed a line. So, how much was the down payment on your condo in Lincoln Park? If you sold it now, what do you think the market value would be? Is there a lot left on your mortgage? At first, Chloe had assumed it was just innocent curiosity, research for Celine's own future. But the questions became more specific, more persistent. That evening, after returning home, Chloe walked to the filing cabinet in her home office and pulled out a folder from the very back, labeled Real Estate Documents. Inside were the deed to her condo and the original sales agreement. This home was hers, and hers alone, the result of over a decade of disciplined saving and a mortgage she had secured long before she ever met her husband, Derek. He had brought nothing but a suitcase to their marriage and had never contributed a single dollar to the mortgage payments. Why do I keep needing to look at this, she thought, placing the papers back with a bitter sigh. The phone call with her mother-in-law, Margaret, from last week echoed in her mind. Chloe, you know we're all going to Celine's rehearsal dinner, right? Don't be late. Of course, Margaret. I'll be there. Good. Listen, Celine's a little down in the dumps about her new place. The groom's family can't afford much, and she's complaining the apartment they're looking at is tiny. Well, the housing market is brutal right now, Chloe had replied cautiously. That's why I'm calling. At the dinner, I want you to find a way to casually bring up your condo. You know, talk about how spacious and nice it is. It'll be the perfect way to boost our Celine's standing. Show them what kind of family she comes from. Chloe had felt a flash of disbelief. Why should her personal asset be used as a bargaining chip to save her sister-in-law's face? Margaret, I'm not sure it's necessary to talk about my home at their dinner. What's a family for? Margaret had snapped. When you look good, Celine looks good. It helps her get respect from her new in-laws. Just do as I say. That night, Derek's attitude only fueled Chloe's anger. Hey, you didn't forget about Celine's dinner tomorrow, did you? He asked, popping open a beer. No, but your mother wants me to brag about my condo. Did you know about this? Derek shrugged, taking a long gulp. So what? It's family. What's the harm in helping out a little? Just say a few words to give Celine a confidence boost. Why should my home be a negotiation tactic for her marriage? It's my property, earned through my hard work. God, why do you have to overthink everything? He grumbled. What's so hard about saying a few nice things? You're making this so difficult. As Chloe turned to the sink to wash dishes, her jaw tight with unspoken anger, Derek added another, even more infuriating detail. Oh, and they changed the venue for tomorrow. Mom rebooked it at that super expensive steakhouse downtown. Why there? The place they originally picked was perfectly nice. Because this one is classier, more impressive. Mom already took care of it, so just handle the payment. Chloe turned off the water and spun around. The payment? You mean the deposit? No, the whole bill. Mom made the reservation under your name and told you to pay for it. She said it's the best way to show the in-laws you're a capable, successful daughter-in-law. Her voice trembled. Why am I supposed to pay an $850 dinner bill? It's your sister's rehearsal dinner. Are you really going to be this cheap? He sneered. You make a good teacher's salary. You can't spare that. You're a wife now. It's normal to help your husband's family keep up appearances. What did you say? It's normal because I'm a wife? Yeah. You're not a stranger. You're a daughter-in-law, so start acting like one. Stop making such a big deal out of everything. Derek stormed off into the bedroom, leaving a cold silence in the kitchen. The next morning, an alert popped up on Chloe's phone. Charge approved. $850. Derek had used her card information without asking. At school, her hands shook so much, she could barely hold the chalk. Fine, she thought, a cold resolve hardening within her. You want to see what I'm capable of? I'll show you. During her lunch break, Chloe requested the afternoon off and raced home. She changed into a sharp, professional pantsuit, took one look at her determined reflection in the mirror, and walked to her office. She retrieved the folder of real estate documents and slid it deep into her leather tote bag. When she arrived at the steakhouse, her mother-in-law, Margaret, and Celine were waiting at the entrance. "Oh, Chloe, you're here," Margaret said, her eyes scanning Chloe's outfit with disapproval. "Couldn't you have worn something a little more festive?" "Hello, Margaret." Celine grabbed Chloe's arm and whispered urgently, "You have to talk about the condo tonight. Don't hold back. We can't let them look down on us. Got it?" Chloe pulled her arm away, a frigid smile on her face. "Don't worry. I'll make sure everyone gets a very clear picture tonight." As she walked into the private dining room, Chloe's gaze was sharper than ever. She had already decided whether this dinner would be a stage for her humiliation or the scene of their downfall. The private dining room was suffocatingly quiet, steeped in an atmosphere of forced elegance. Outside the large window, a manicured city garden was visible, but inside, the air was thick with tension. Celine's fiancé, Ryan Peterson, and his parents were far more modestly dressed than Chloe had expected. His father wore a simple, slightly worn suit, and his mother was in a tasteful but unadorned dress. "A pleasure to finally meet you all. I'm Ryan's father, Mark Peterson," he said, extending a hand with a polite smile. "Thank you for arranging such a lovely evening." Margaret seized the opportunity, beaming as she shook his hand, though her eyes were already sizing up their attire from head to toe. Chloe quietly took her seat and watched the performance unfold. The food began to arrive, a parade of extravagant dishes from lobster bisque to prime rib and seared scallops. Ryan's mother's eyes widened. "My goodness, the food is incredible. You really went all out, booking such a formal and expensive place." Margaret puffed out her chest. "Oh, it's nothing. This is for our Celine, after all. Actually, our wonderful daughter-in-law, Chloe, arranged and paid for everything. She was so generous, wasn't she?" Chloe nearly choked on her water. Margaret's tone was dripping with a blatant message. Our daughter-in-law throws this kind of money around without a second thought. Ryan's father nodded at Chloe appreciatively. "Well, you have a very capable and devoted daughter-in-law. We're very impressed." Chloe forced a smile, her stomach twisting into a knot. As the main course was served, Celine subtly steered the conversation. "We've officially set the date for the 15th of next month. The venue is booked and everything. Congratulations. But what about the most important part, where will you live?" Ryan's mother asked. Celine shot a strange look at Ryan. He cleared his throat and spoke cautiously. "We found a great one-bedroom apartment. It's about 800 square feet, which should be perfect for us to start out." In an instant, Celine's voice cut through the room like a shard of glass. "We clearly said we were looking for a two-bedroom. What is a one-bedroom? We can't live in a shoebox." "Celine, with our current budget, it's the best we can do," Ryan replied, his voice strained. She slammed her fork down, her face a mask of undisguised fury. The atmosphere turned icy. Margaret quickly jumped in. "Oh, these housing prices are just insane, aren't they? How can young people possibly afford a home?" "I'm sure you're doing the best you can with your finances," she said to the Petersons, her voice dripping with false sympathy. Ryan's father lowered his head, embarrassed. "To be frank, we don't have much saved up to help them out in a big way." Margaret nodded, feigning understanding. "Of course, I understand completely. But what is family for? We help each other out in times of need, don't we?" Ryan's mother looked puzzled. "What exactly do you mean by helping out?" Margaret's eyes glinted as she pointed a finger at Chloe. "Just look at my daughter-in-law here. She owns a gorgeous condo right in the heart of Lincoln Park. A 1,400 square foot, two-bedroom with southern exposure. It's a real gem. And she bought it all by herself." Chloe's heart sank. The Petersons stared at her, their eyes wide. "Oh my, is that true? That's incredible for someone so young in this day and age. You have a very impressive daughter-in-law." Celine chimed in, unable to contain her excitement. "Her place is amazing. It's in a perfect location, close to everything. I've been saying forever that I'd love to start my married life in a place just like that." Ryan turned to Chloe, impressed. "Wow, that's really something. Do you have much left on your mortgage?" Before Chloe could speak, Margaret cut her off. "The mortgage? Oh, that's practically paid off. My daughter-in-law has been so diligent with her teacher's salary. There's hardly anything left. It's almost pure equity." A chill went down Chloe's spine. The details of her mortgage repayment plan were something she had only mentioned in passing to Derek. Realizing he had fed this information to his mother made her feel sick. She glanced at Derek, who was staring down at his plate, chugging his wine like a man with a guilty conscience. Celine grew bolder. Exactly. With a starter home like Chloe's, I wouldn't ask for anything else from the in-laws. A place like that is what you need to keep up appearances, isn't it? Ryan's mother's face hardened. Celine, as we've said, a home of that caliber is beyond our means. Beyond your means? You're gaining a daughter. You should be willing to make an effort. Celine snapped, her voice rising. The dinner was now teetering on the edge of disaster. Margaret took a slow sip of her tea, a sly smile playing on her lips. Don't you worry, folks. I have a wonderful idea. If we're all willing to compromise and cooperate, there's always a solution. Ryan's father, desperate, asked, "What kind of idea?" Margaret looked directly at Chloe, her expression one of absolute certainty, and dropped the bomb. Chloe's condo has 2 bedrooms, which is far too much space for just her and Derek. So, I was thinking, why don't our Celine and Ryan move in there and live with them for a while? Chloe almost dropped her wine glass. Excuse me, Margaret? What did you just say? Margaret glared at her, as if Chloe were the one being unreasonable. Chloe, what's a family for? Your sister-in-law's marriage is on the line because of a housing issue. Is it really so hard to give up one spare room in that big condo? It's in your name anyway. So who's going to say anything if we move in? Chloe's mind went blank. The sheer audacity of Margaret, treating her daughter-in-law's private property like a communal family asset, was staggering. Margaret, my home is in my name, and it is my personal space. This isn't a matter of helping out. Derek finally mumbled, "Mom, that's a bit much. Don't you think? How can a newlywed couple live with us? What's the problem? It's not a stranger's house. It's your brother's home." Celine retorted, grabbing Chloe's arm and shaking it. "Chloe, you're being so cruel. Just for a year. We'll only stay for 1 year. You can't even do that for me?" Chloe yanked her hand away. "No, not in a million years." Celine's face twisted in an instant. "What? Are you looking down on me? Are you flexing on us just because you have a little money?" "It's not flexing. It's my right. It's my home, bought with my blood, sweat, and tears. It's not a down payment for your wedding." Margaret slammed her hand on the table. "How dare you? When your elders are speaking nicely, you should listen. How dare you contradict your mother-in-law at a family dinner?" Chloe reached into her bag, pulled out the manila folder, and threw it onto the table. "See for yourselves. Owner, Chloe Miller. Remaining mortgage, $30,000. This is my home, which I am protecting by paying $1,000 out of my own pocket every single month. I have no intention of sharing it with anyone, and there is not 1 square inch of it available for people like you." The Petersons, their faces pale with shock, rose from their seats. "We should be going. This is not the kind of treatment we expected to receive. Ryan, let's go." As Ryan's family hurried out of the room, Margaret lunged toward Chloe, screaming, "You ruined everything. You ruined our Celine's future. You wicked woman." "I didn't ruin anything. Your endless greed ruined it. Before you start coveting my home, you should try finding some shame." Derek shoved Chloe's shoulder. "Are you crazy? What are you doing to my mother?" Chloe looked him straight in the eye and spoke in an ice-cold voice. "You're just as bad. Feeding them my mortgage information while you sat there in silence. As of tonight, you and I are finished." She stood up, her composure absolute. "I paid for the meal, so enjoy. Try not to choke on it." Without a backward glance, Chloe walked out of the restaurant. The cold night air hit her cheeks, but inside, her chest was ablaze with a mixture of furious rage and a strange, exhilarating sense of liberation. Just as Chloe was about to push open the heavy oak doors of the steakhouse, Margaret's shrill, piercing voice echoed down the corridor. "Chloe Miller, where do you think you're going? Don't you dare take another step." Chloe stopped and slowly turned around. Margaret had stormed out of the private dining room, her face contorted with rage as she stomped towards her. "Where am I going? I'm going home. Are you out of your mind? Do you have any idea what you just did in there?" Margaret's face was a blotchy, ugly red, her features twisted by fury. Chloe's voice was steady, betraying no emotion. "I have no idea what I did wrong. Aren't you the one who has lost touch with reality? What? You just completely sabotaged Celine's marriage. Do you know how humiliating that was in front of her in-laws? Her marriage wasn't sabotaged by me. It was sabotaged by your shameless mouth, parading my private property around as if it were your own. Margaret strode right up to Chloe, her face inches away. Under the opulent hallway lighting, her eyes glittered like a snake's. Shameless? Asking family for a little help is shameless? How can you be so cold and calculating? Margaret, demanding I give my home to someone for free isn't help. It's extortion. It's theft. Trying to freeload off my life's work. Freeload? Celine is not someone. Did you just call your sister-in-law someone? Chloe let out a long, weary sigh. It was like screaming at a brick wall. A rational conversation with this woman was impossible. Margaret, this is pointless. I'm leaving. As Chloe turned to walk away again, Margaret lunged and grabbed her arm in a vice-like grip. Wait, we're not finished. Let go of me. You're wrinkling my suit. I said, let go. I won't. Not until you go back in there, get on your knees, and apologize to Celine. And you're not leaving until you promise to let them have the condo. Chloe pried Margaret's fingers off her arm, one by one. As her arm came free, she issued a cold warning. That will never happen, so don't even dream of it. My patience has run out. You horrible woman. A daughter-in-law who won't even give up her condo to help her sister-in-law get married. Are you even human? The hallway fell silent. Margaret's shriek was so loud that guests from other rooms began to peek out their doors. But Margaret, oblivious to the shame, only yelled louder. It's not that I won't give it up. It's mine, so I'm not giving it away. It's my property, paid for with my blood and sweat. Why is your condo so important? The family's reputation matters more. If you had just kept your mouth shut, Celine could have married into that family as a woman with a two-bedroom condo. At that moment, Celine burst out of the room, her face a mess of tear-streaked makeup. Chloe, please, she wailed. I can't lose Ryan. You saw how his parents looked down on me. Her voice trembled, but it stirred not an ounce of pity in Chloe's heart. Then you should find a man whose family is on your level, or get a loan and find a rental on your own. Why are you trying to bleed me dry? Celine collapsed to the floor, screaming. Because there's no other way. Your condo is the easiest, most certain option, and it costs us nothing. All you have to do is make a small sacrifice. Why are you being so selfish? Just because it's certain for you doesn't give me a single reason to hand it over. Margaret interjected again, this time with a truly breathtaking proposition. Chloe, I've thought this all through. If you really don't want to live with them, then just transfer the deed of the condo to Derek. That way, it becomes marital property, and there will be no issue with Celine living there. See? Chloe couldn't believe her ears. She wondered if this woman was actually insane. What did you just say? Transfer the deed to whom? To Derek? Yes. A husband and wife are one entity anyway. So what does it matter whose name is on the deed? If it's in Derek's name, Celine can start her married life with peace of mind, and our family saves face. It's a win-win. A hollow laugh escaped Chloe's lips. The true, ugly nature of their scheme was finally laid bare. Margaret, that condo is my separate, premarital property, bought with money I saved before I ever met your son. There is no reason to put his name on it, and there is no room for any of you to even set a toe inside. To be family, you have to share everything, including assets. If you only look out for yourself, what kind of family is that? Are you planning to leave him or something? Chloe clenched her fists, a hot rage rising from her feet to the top of her head. I'm leaving now, and don't you ever speak of my property again. Where do you think you're going, Chloe Miller? Margaret tried to block her again. Celine added, you're the older sister-in-law. You should obviously give way to me. I'm the younger one, and you're so much better off than me. Don't use the word obviously so lightly, Chloe retorted. What you call yielding is not consideration, it's coercion. And what you're doing right now is robbery in the name of family. Margaret's face turned a dark, furious purple. Robbery? Did you just call your mother-in-law and sister-in-law robbers? After everything we've done for you, I'll let you save money on the wedding gift. I even helped you pick out your dress. The wedding gift money you saved for me was from the check I wrote you. I paid for every single appliance in our home myself. What exactly did you do for me? Oh, right. You put a lot of effort into researching the market value of my condo. Margaret grabbed Chloe's shoulders and shook her violently. You insolent brat. You need to be taught a lesson today. Chloe shoved her hands away forcefully. The push was stronger than she intended, and Margaret stumbled backward, hitting the wall. Ah, my back. Celine shrieked and rushed to help her mother. Chloe, did you just push your mother-in-law? Are you crazy? Somebody help. My sister-in-law is assaulting her mother-in-law. Ignoring the stares of the onlookers, Chloe looked down at them coldly. I didn't push her. I removed her hands from my body. She was the one who initiated physical contact, as everyone here just witnessed. Margaret crumpled to the floor, wailing theatrically, clearly intending to make a public scene. It was then that Derek finally slunk out of the room, his face pale, nervously glancing around at the spectacle. Chloe, what is all this? Calm down. Chloe fixed him with an icy stare. Did you know your mother was going to demand I transfer the deed of my condo to you? Answer me. Derek avoided her gaze, stammering. Well, Mom was just trying to help Celine, and we're married, aren't we? It would all work out in the end. Why are you being so sensitive? Ah, so you knew. You were in on it. Chloe felt a shock, as if she'd been hit by a hammer, but she quickly steadied herself. Honey, let's just go home and talk about this. Derek pleaded. If this gets out, it'll be embarrassing for me at work. No, my disappearing from your life will solve that problem. As of today, you and those two are erased from my existence. Margaret, still on the floor, shrieked. If you walk out that door, it's over. Don't you ever think of setting foot in our house again. You venomous wretch. Chloe walked away without looking back, her head held high. The curses and Celine's sobbing from behind her sounded like a strangely satisfying soundtrack to her escape. In the parking garage, she got into her car, gripped the steering wheel, and took a deep breath. Her fingertips trembled, and tears welled in her eyes. But they were tears of rage and liberation, not sadness. Her phone buzzed violently. A text from Derek. Honey, Mom was just upset. I'll talk to her. Please cool down and wait for me at home. I love you. The repulsive message made her toss the phone onto the passenger seat. Love. You dare use that word. The only thing you people love is my condo. Starting the engine and pulling out of the parking garage. A cold smile spread across Chloe's face. All right. Now, I'll show you what a real victory looks like. You can watch, up close, as you all get kicked out of the home you love so much. Chloe pressed her foot down hard on the accelerator, heading for home. The nice, compliant daughter-in-law was dead and gone. In the car on the way home, the phone on the passenger seat began to ring incessantly. Derek's name flashed on the screen, but Chloe kept her eyes fixed on the road, her hands gripping the wheel. When she stopped at a red light, a quick glance showed 5 missed calls already. I'll deal with this when I get home, and I'm ready. Answering now will just be emotional. She parked in her building's garage, and even in the short elevator ride up, the phone vibrated nonstop in her pocket. She unlocked her front door and, without even turning on the lights, checked the phone. 12 missed calls. 28 unread texts. The frantic obsession of her in-laws had begun. Derek, Margaret, Celine, the 3 of them were calling in a relentless rotation. Chloe sank deep into her sofa and began to read the messages. At first, they were attempts at appeasement from Derek. Honey, please pick up. Mom is just really angry. She can't calm down. All you have to do is say you're sorry. Next came a deceptively sweet message from Margaret. Chloe, please call me. We need to clear up this misunderstanding so we can face the in-laws again. Celine's texts were a mix of begging and crying. Chloe, please. Ryan isn't answering my calls. He's going to break up with me. You have to take responsibility for this. But as the hours passed and Chloe remained silent, the tone of the messages plummeted below freezing. Are you kidding me? Why won't you answer the phone? Derek's texts were now laced with anger and profanity. Margaret's messages turned to open condemnation. Chloe Miller, are you ignoring your mother-in-law? Is this how an educated person behaves? Celine's texts were pure venom. You've completely ruined my life. If I kill myself, it will be your fault. Chloe took a deep, steadying breath. Calm down. Don't get sucked into their chaos. This isn't a conversation. It's a hunt. Just then, the phone rang again. It was Margaret. Taking another calming breath, Chloe hit the answer button. Hello, Margaret. Don't you? Hello, Margaret me. Where have you been? And what have you been doing that you can't answer your phone? Margaret's voice was a screech, threatening to tear through the speaker. I was driving. And after the way the dinner ended, what is there left to say? Nothing to say? Your sister-in-law is on the floor, sobbing her heart out because of you. And you have the nerve to say that. I did nothing wrong. You made an unreasonable demand, and I protected my property. That's all. Unreasonable demand? How is a family helping each other an unreasonable demand? You're a teacher. Didn't they teach you any morals? Demanding I hand over my private property for your daughter's wedding isn't a moral issue. It's a criminal one. It's theft. Margaret shrieked. Theft. The nerve of you. Besides, you're at school all day. You can't even manage the house properly. If Celine lived there, she could keep the place sparkling clean. It would be a win-win for everyone. Chloe couldn't believe the depths of her audacity. I am perfectly capable of managing my own home. Is your daughter a cleaning lady? Not a cleaning lady, a family member. We're just trying to help each other. Aren't you lonely in that big place all by yourself? With Celine there, you wouldn't be so lonely. I'm not lonely at all. Margaret, if you have nothing else to say, I'm hanging up. We're not finished. Chloe Miller, if you ignore me. Chloe ended the call without hesitation. Her fingers trembled, but her resolve was hardening. In the hour that followed, Celine and Derek continued their relentless assault. Calling over 70 times, Chloe switched her phone to silent and sat down at her desk. This isn't persuasion. It's a group lynching. She went to her office and opened her laptop. As a high school English teacher for 15 years, Chloe knew one thing for certain. An unrecorded fact has no power. She created a new folder and began meticulously screenshotting every text message, organizing them by sender and time. She logged every call in a spreadsheet. The most potent weapon, however, was a voicemail Margaret had left. Chloe, you're being too sensitive. We can change the deed to Derek's name later. If Celine lives there, it'll be easier for you, too. It's all for the best. Chloe saved the damning audio file with the file name. Margaret. Deed. Transfer. Coercion. Evidence. Wave. Around 8 p.m., she heard the beeping of the keypad at the front door. Derek stumbled in, reeking of alcohol, and immediately started yelling at Chloe, who was sitting calmly in the living room. Why didn't you answer your phone? The entire family has been going crazy looking for you. Because I had nothing to say. You and your mother would just repeat the same nonsense, so why bother listening? Derek kicked the side of the sofa. Nothing to say? Our family is in shambles because of what you did today, and you have nothing to say? Your family is in shambles because of your mother and sister's delusional greed. Derek sneered, leaning his face close to hers. Greed? Asking to share a house is greed? You're not the only one living here. Why are you being so difficult? Because it's my house, Chloe stated, crossing her arms. My property that I bought with my money. What's wrong with me doing as I please with it? He ran his hands through his hair, exasperated. Who cares about the deed? We're a married couple. Marital property is shared property. Why are you acting like a landlord? Chloe's reply was cold and precise. Legally and factually, this is my separate, premarital property. Have you contributed a single dollar to it? In fact, you're the one living here rent-free. What? Rent-free? Are you treating me like a tenant now? Well, the shoe fits. What have you ever contributed to this home? Have you ever even paid a utility bill? Derek's face contorted with rage, and he shoved her shoulder. You are such a selfish person. Your family is in trouble, and you're causing all this drama over a stupid condo. I feel sorry for myself for ever marrying someone like you. If you feel so sorry for yourself, then leave. Nobody's stopping you. As he raised his hand threateningly, Chloe calmly picked up her phone and played the voicemail. Margaret's voice, talking about the deed transfer, filled the living room. Derek's eyes darted around. Wait, where did you get that? It's the message your mother left me. You were all planning to steal my condo from the beginning, weren't you? The talk of changing the deed says it all. No, that was just Mom talking nonsense. We'll see if it was nonsense in court. Your yelling, your drunken threats, and those 70 phone calls have all been documented as evidence. Panicked, Derek lunged for the phone, but Chloe stepped back. Don't touch me. From now on, there will be no mercy. Take the precious family you care so much about and get out of my house. Now, you're going to regret this. How are you going to live all by yourself? I'd rather live alone for 100 years than live with a parasite like you. Get out. Derek slammed the bedroom door and locked it. Chloe didn't cry. She sat back down at her laptop and began to write down the day's events, like a diary entry. My in-laws didn't see me as family. They saw me as an asset. My husband was their enforcer. The cool moonlight streamed into the living room. Chloe opened the window and breathed in the night air. It's really beginning now. I'm going to make this home you coveted so dearly a living hell for you. Her gaze was colder and more resolute than ever before. The next morning, Chloe dragged her exhausted body to school. She hadn't slept a wink, thanks to Derek's drunken tirades and the endless calls from his family. But in front of her students, she had to maintain the composure of a dedicated English teacher. After her morning classes, she was trying to rest her eyes in the faculty lounge when her phone rang with an unknown number. Hello? Is this Chloe Miller? Yes, it is. Who's calling? This is Ryan Peterson. I was Celine's fiancé. I'm so sorry to call you out of the blue. Chloe was so startled she almost dropped her phone. There was absolutely no reason for him to be contacting her. Oh, Ryan. What's this about? Would it be possible to meet with you for a few minutes after you get off work? There's something I need to tell you, and I can't do it over the phone. Ryan's voice was low and weary, but held an undercurrent of firm resolve. After a moment's hesitation, Chloe agreed to meet him at a coffee shop near the school. At 4 p.m., Ryan stood up from a corner table. As Chloe walked in, his face pale. He looked much more haggard than he had at the dinner. Thank you for coming, Chloe. Of course. You must be feeling terrible about everything. I feel awful that I may have ruined the dinner. Ryan shook his head with a bitter smile. No. Actually, thanks to you, I realized I was about to make a huge mistake. To be honest, Celine's demands during the wedding planning were becoming more and more outrageous. With a trembling hand, Ryan pulled out his phone and showed it to Chloe. On the screen was a long list of Celine's jaw-dropping demands. The new home must be a 2-bedroom in a prime Chicago neighborhood. The car has to be a new German import, at minimum. I'll pick out all the furniture from the brands I like. Your parents can pay for it. Even if I worked my entire life, I could never afford this, he said quietly. Chloe's brow furrowed as she read. She had no idea Celine's vanity ran so deep. I tried asking my parents for help, but it was impossible for them. But every time I said no, Celine would get angry and start insulting my parents. The next text Ryan showed her was even more shocking. Ryan, why are your parents so useless? Is it that hard to buy their son a condo like normal people do? Celine, my parents worked hard their whole lives for that money. Don't talk about them like that. Who cares about that right now? My sister-in-law bought a 1,400 square foot condo all by herself. What has your family ever accomplished? The fact that her name had been used in such a vile way made Chloe's blood run cold. Is this everything, Ryan? No. This is what I really needed you to see. Ryan scrolled down to a conversation from a week before the rehearsal dinner. Babe, don't worry about the condo. I have a plan. Once we're married, we'll just move into my sister-in-law's place. Chloe's place? But she and her husband live there. How can we do that? It's her own property. She got it all by herself. If her little sister-in-law is about to be homeless, she has to give it up. I've already talked it over with my mom. She won't be able to refuse. I'll make sure of it. Chloe's hand, holding the phone, began to shake. The chaos at the dinner wasn't spontaneous. It was a premeditated robbery attempt, planned a week in advance by her in-laws. When you stood up to them so firmly last night, Chloe, I realized something, Ryan said, his voice heavy. Celine doesn't love me. She was only interested in my money and your condo. He let out a deep sigh. I've decided to call off the wedding. I told her this morning. Did your parents agree? Yes. My mother said if I married into a family like that, they'd suck my very soul dry. She told me I can't build a life with someone who only values money and has no respect for people. Chloe felt a sense of relief for him. Ryan, I know this is hard, but you made the right choice. And would it be possible for you to send me these text messages? He nodded, immediately sending all the screenshots to her. Of course. I heard her family is still harassing you. I hope this helps protect you. After Ryan left, Chloe reread the files he'd sent. She created a new folder on her phone. Celine, marriage, fraud, conspiracy. Her eyes were as sharp as daggers. When she got home, Celine's frantic calls began. Just as she'd expected, instead of answering, Chloe calmly activated her phone's screen recording feature. A few moments later, a voicemail from Celine arrived. It was a masterpiece of vitriol. Chloe Miller, did you meet with Ryan? What did you say to him? He just broke up with me. You've ruined my life. You venomous snake. Soon after, a text from Derek came through. Chloe, Celine is a complete wreck. Did you meet with Ryan and convince him to leave her? For God's sake, stop this. Are you happy now that you've destroyed my sister's life? Chloe didn't reply. Instead, She opened her laptop and organized all the new evidence. Margaret's demand to change the deed, Celine's conspiracy texts, Derek's complicity and verbal abuse, all the pieces were falling into place. A cold smile touched her lips as she whispered to the empty room. We're halfway there. You didn't just destroy Celine's wedding. You destroyed your own lives. Just wait. The real hell hasn't even started yet. In the dim light of the living room, Chloe began to prepare the one document that would set her free, the divorce papers. The news of the broken engagement spread like wildfire. The day after Ryan officially called it off, a frantic call from Margaret came at the crack of dawn. It was 6 a.m. Chloe, getting ready for work, looked down at the vibrating phone with cold disdain. So, you're determined to rob me of my sleep too. Fine. Let's see this through. With practiced ease, she started a voice recording app and answered. Hello, Margaret. What's the matter so early in the morning? Chloe Miller. How can you be sleeping? Are you even human? Celine's engagement is off because of you. Are you happy now? Margaret's voice was a ragged, metallic shriek, filled with rage and resentment. Margaret, I didn't break off their engagement. They made that decision themselves. What do you mean it wasn't you? The Petersons looked down on our family because you refused to give up that stupid condo. If you hadn't been so greedy, Celine would be happily picking out wedding gifts right now. Chloe suppressed a surge of anger and calmly delivered the facts. Ryan left because he was fed up with Celine's endless greed and her personality issues. It had nothing to do with my condo. What? Personality issues? What's wrong with our Celine's personality? Are you slandering your sister-in-law now? Her obsession with money. She was demanding a German car and a condo and a luxury high-rise from him. Is that normal? Margaret gasped, then screamed. What's wrong with that? When a woman gets married, it's the man's duty to provide that for her. I know you put him up to this, you wicked woman. You'll pay for this for the rest of your life. Chloe hung up without another word. She saved the recording, labeling it, Margaret, blame, for, engagement, verbal, abuse, MP3. The torment continued at school. During every break between classes, her phone was bombarded with texts from the unholy trinity, Margaret, Celine, and Derek. Margaret cursed her, saying she'd be punished by God. Celine threatened to kill herself and blame Chloe. But the most pathetic of all was her husband, Derek. Chloe, Mom is on the verge of collapsing. You need to come home right now and beg for forgiveness on your knees. It's the only way to fix this. Chloe let out a hollow laugh and screenshotted every message, uploading them to her cloud drive. She no longer had a shred of affection left for any of them. After school, she met her best friend, Sarah. Seeing Chloe's gaunt face, Sarah slammed her hand on the table. Are you kidding me? That family is certifiably insane. Chloe, I know how hard you worked for that condo. You spent over a decade working summer school and saving every penny. Why on earth would you give it to your sister-in-law? Because to them, it's my duty to sacrifice everything. If I don't, I'm the villain. Sarah grabbed Chloe's hand, her expression firm. Chloe, divorce him. This isn't love. It's exploitation. Derek is nothing but a puppet for his family. What is there left to hold on to? Get out before they destroy you completely. Looking down at her coffee cup, Chloe replied in a low voice. You're right. I've made up my mind. The good daughter-in-law act is over. When she returned home, the living room reeked of stale liquor. Derek was sitting with a bottle of whiskey, glaring at her. Look who finally decided to show up. I bet you're thrilled about Celine's engagement being off. Why would I be thrilled? It's a sad situation. Derek stumbled to his feet, blocking her path. Sad? All you had to do was say one thing. Celine, why don't you start your married life at our place? Was that one sentence so hard? Because of you. Our family was humiliated, and the wedding is off. You selfish woman. Chloe looked him straight in the eye. The ones who should be ashamed are your family, for trying to steal someone's home and putting on a ridiculous show at the rehearsal dinner. I saw all the texts Celine sent to Ryan. Maybe you should see them, too. When Chloe held up her phone, Derek swatted it out of her hand. Shut up. Who cares about some stupid texts? When you're family, you take their side no matter what. How dare you side with a stranger? You destroyed our family. His anger boiling over, Derek grabbed the whiskey bottle and hurled it against the wall. It shattered with a loud crash, sending shards of glass scattering across the floor near Chloe's feet. This is all your fault. If it weren't for you, my mom wouldn't be crying and Celine would be happy. Marrying you was the worst thing that ever happened to my family. The pain from a small cut on her ankle was nothing compared to the horror of seeing the man in front of her as a complete monster. He never saw me as a person, she realized with a sickening lurch. I was just a sacrifice for his family. Without a word, Chloe walked into the bedroom and locked the door. As Derek pounded on the door, screaming obscenities, she opened her laptop and started searching for top-rated divorce attorneys. At 3 a.m., once she heard Derek snores from the living room, Chloe began to move silently. First, she gathered her personal financial documents and the condo's deed. Then, she packed only her essential clothing into a suitcase. This home, which she had worked for over a decade to acquire, felt like a temporary hell. But she knew this was just a strategic retreat. The one who would be truly kicked out wasn't her. As she closed the front door behind her, a text from Celine arrived. I'm going to post everything on the school's community forum. All your colleagues and students are going to find out what a horrible person you are. Chloe smiled coldly and screenshotted the message. Celine, defamation, threat. Go ahead, she thought. Dig your own grave. As she drove away from the apartment complex, hot tears streamed down her face. But they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of liberation, for a woman finally on her way to finding herself. Shaking off the ghosts of her in-laws in the rearview mirror, she pressed down on the accelerator, heading for her parents' house. In the cool quiet of her childhood bedroom, Chloe opened her laptop. The only sound was the rhythmic click of the mouse as she began to comb through 3 years of bank statements. On the screen, a long list of payments made to her mother-in-law, Margaret, under the guise of living expenses, stretched before her. Her own mother, opening the door, sighed deeply at the sight of her daughter's exhausted back. Honey, you should eat something first. You've been staring at that computer since dawn. You'll make yourself sick. Mom, I'm sorry. Just a little longer. Once I finish this, it will all be over. Her mother sat beside her and gasped when she saw the screen. Chloe, you were sending her all this money every month? $500? It started at $300, Chloe explained, her fingers flying across the keyboard, entering dates and amounts into a spreadsheet. The money, siphoned off without fail for 36 months, was piling up into a mountain of deceit. But last year, she started saying prices were going up. Her prescription costs were higher, so she asked for $500. She always told me that between Dad's medical bills and her own medication, they were barely scraping by. I thought it was my duty as a daughter-in-law to help. Her mother pointed to a specific entry. Then what's this? $1,000 in May, and another $1,000 in August. Why the sudden jump? The memories associated with those dates returned like sharp needles to her heart. May was when Celine went on a trip to Japan. Margaret came to me saying Celine needed a little boost and asked me to help with her travel expenses. August was when Celine went to a yoga retreat in Hawaii to get certified. She held my hand and said they were struggling financially. Her mother slammed her hand on the desk. That's not living expenses. That's you paying for your sister-in-law's vacations. Oh, you poor, foolish girl. Chloe stopped clicking and stared blankly at the screen as the puzzle pieces clicked into place. The dates of her wire transfers and Celine's social media posts were a perfect match. With a trembling hand, she opened Celine's Instagram. May 15th, a photo at Tokyo Disneyland. The caption read, "Having a dream vacation. All thanks to my sis-in-law. Love you." August 20th, a photo in yoga attire at a luxury resort in Maui. The caption, "Came for the certification, staying for the healing vibes. My sis-in-law is the best." A hollow, mirthless laugh escaped Chloe's lips. She was beyond tears. She wrote, "Thanks to my sis-in-law." She never said a word of thanks to my face, but she was living a life of luxury on my dime and taking all the credit. Her mother wrapped an arm around her, her own eyes welling up. "Honey, you were taken advantage of because you have a good heart. That family didn't see you as a daughter. They saw you as prey." With renewed determination, Chloe went back to the files. March 5th, payment sent. March 10th, Celine's post unboxing a new designer handbag. June 15th, payment sent. June 20th, Celine's post at a Michelin star restaurant. December 20th, payment sent. December 25th, Celine's post on a ski trip at an exclusive resort. "It's unbelievable," Chloe whispered. "The money went from my account, through my mother-in-law's, and straight into Celine's lifestyle, all at the speed of light." Her mother insisted she document everything. "Chloe, save all of this as evidence. When you file for divorce, You need to show them exactly how they extorted you. Chloe looked up at her mother. You think I should get a divorce, too? Her mother squeezed her hands tightly. Absolutely. How can you spend the rest of your life tied to a family of parasites? That man, Derek, he's not your partner. He's their enforcer. The tears Chloe had been holding back finally fell. Mom, I was so stupid. Wasn't I? I feel like such an idiot for worrying about Margaret's health while I sent that money every month. You weren't an idiot. Your heart was generous. But they stomped all over that generosity. Now, it's time for you to be strong. Wiping her tears, Chloe returned to her online banking, cross-referencing her payments with the list of demands Celine had sent to Ryan. The designer bag Celine wanted from Ryan, $3,000. The Hawaii trip, $1,500. She was double-dipping, Chloe realized, getting money from me and demanding it from her fiancé at the same time. She wasn't a sister-in-law. She was a black hole. A wave of emptiness washed over her. I was never treated like a human being in that family. I was just an ATM they could withdraw from whenever they wanted. Her mother held her, and Chloe cried for a long time for the injustice, the anger, and the 3 wasted years of her life. After she had cried it out, Derek's texts started flooding in. Where are you? Why aren't you home? Are you at your parents'? How long are you going to keep this up? Chloe, let's please just talk. I know I was out of line yesterday. Chloe took a deep breath and called him. The moment he answered, his voice was frantic. Chloe, where are you? You're driving me crazy. I'm at my parents' house, and I think we need to seriously discuss ending our relationship. Ending it? You want a divorce over a condo? Chloe looked at the spreadsheet on her screen. Over the past 3 years, I sent your mother $18,000 for living expenses. You knew where that money was really going, didn't you? Derek paused, then stammered. Well, Mom was just helping Celine out a bit, trying to give her a good start. What's the big deal? It's family. It's not a big deal because it's family? Then you should have helped her with your money. Why did you let her buy designer bags with my hard-earned salary? I'm not sending your mother another cent. What? Are you serious? What is my mom supposed to do without that money? Chloe's voice was as sharp as a knife. You can support her with your money. You were never my husband. You were just a lapdog for your family. As of today, all financial support is cut off. For them and for you. She hung up and blocked his number. Immediately, a call came in from Margaret. Chloe hit record and answered. Chloe Miller. What nonsense did you just say to Derek? You're cutting off my living expenses? Are you out of your mind? Yes, Margaret. I think I'm finally in my right mind. I have all the evidence of you taking my money to fund your daughter's lavish lifestyle. Margaret's voice trembled with panic. Evidence? Are you telling me you've been investigating your own mother-in-law? It was all a coincidence. When a coincidence happens 36 times, it's a pattern of criminal behavior. If you had ever considered me family, you wouldn't have lied about needing living expenses. You would have just asked for an allowance for your daughter. Margaret shrieked. You insolent girl. How dare a daughter-in-law lecture her elders? When you marry into this family, your body and your property belong to us. No, my body and my property are my own. I spent 3 years playing the part of the good daughter-in-law and got treated like dirt. From now on, I'm going to live with dignity. Don't call me again. As she ended the call and saved the recording, Chloe's hands were steady. Her mother watched her and asked softly, Are you going to be okay, honey? Chloe looked out at the setting sun. Yes, Mom. For the first time in my life, I feel like I've made the right choice for myself. The thing I needed to protect wasn't their reputation or even my condo. It was me. She wiped away a final tear in her mother's embrace. It was the end of her sorrow and the first step toward a brilliant, new independence. Chloe was no longer someone's ATM. She was Chloe Miller, and she began to fill out the divorce papers. The week at her parents' house was the calm before the storm. After consulting with a lawyer and having the divorce petition drawn up, Chloe was finally ready to return to the place that had become her prison. As she packed her bag, her mother watched with worried eyes. Honey, are you sure you should go alone? Who knows what those vulgar people will do? I can come with you. It's okay, Mom. I have to protect my own life now. I've become much stronger. Don't worry. Chloe gave her mom a tight hug and got in her car. Her hands trembled slightly on the steering wheel, but her eyes were firm. Parking in the familiar garage, she rode the elevator up. The space she had entered every day for 3 years suddenly felt alien and cold. Standing before her front door, she instinctively reached for the keypad but stopped. Derek could show up at any time. I need to erase every trace of him from my space first. She pulled out her smartphone and opened the app for her smart lock. From anywhere, she could change the access code. She reset the password to a sequence of numbers only she would know. A code Derek could never guess. The moment she opened the door, she was hit with the stale stench of liquor and cigarette smoke. Empty whiskey bottles were strewn across the floor, and the sink was piled high with moldy dishes. He wouldn't lift a finger without me here. He never disappoints. Chloe tossed her bag on the sofa and went straight to her laptop, pulling up the escape checklist she had prepared. Change front door lock code Donna. Delete husband's access to building entry. Pending. Cancel all joint subscriptions and payments. Pending. Stop automatic payments to in-laws. Pending. Expel Derek Miller's belongings. Pending. First, she called the building management office. Hello, this is Chloe Miller, owner of Unit 705 Inches Building B. I need to immediately revoke all building access for my husband, Derek Miller. Please deactivate his key fob and remove his vehicle from the registered parking list. We are in the process of a divorce, and any unauthorized entry will be treated as trespassing. Yes, Miss Miller, we've confirmed your identity as the owner. We'll process that right away and inform security. She hung up and drew a thick line through the second item on her list. Next, she opened her banking app. A tangled web of shared subscriptions was linked to her credit card. Netflix, YouTube Premium, their Amazon Prime membership. Without a moment's hesitation, she canceled every single one. Go pay for your own entertainment. You're not getting another cent from me. She then located the recurring $500 payment to Margaret and terminated it. The parasitic pipeline from her bank account was finally severed. Just then, her phone exploded with calls. It was Derek, stranded outside the front door. Chloe calmly started a recording and put the call on speaker. What's going on? Chloe, are you in there? Why isn't the code working? Open this door right now. I changed the code. Why would you need to know the new one? What? What do you mean, why? I need to get in. It's my home. A cold, mirthless laugh escaped her. Don't delude yourself. This is my home, bought with my name and my money before we were married. Your name isn't on the deed or any other document. You've never paid a single utility bill, so stop acting like you own the place. She heard a loud thud as he kicked the door. Marital property is shared property. Don't you know that? Open the door. Have you ever heard of separate premarital property? Legally, you have zero claim to this condo. So, before you embarrass yourself further, and I have to call the police, go away. While Derek continued to yell and pound on the door, Chloe went into the master bedroom and opened his closet. She began ruthlessly stuffing everything from his expensive suits to his socks into large cardboard boxes she had ready. She cleared the bathroom of his toothbrush, his razor, every last item. Within 2 hours, 5 boxes contained the entirety of his 3-year presence in her life. She called a courier service and gave them the address of Derek's parents' house. Please deliver these boxes to this address, she instructed the driver, and make sure the shipping fee is payment on delivery. As the boxes were being loaded, her phone rang. It was Margaret. Are you out of your mind? Why are you sending Derek's things here? How could a wife throw her own husband out onto the street? Because it's my house. Your son is your responsibility now. Your house? He lived there with you for 3 years. How can it just be your house? You have no heart, you cold, wicked woman. Chloe glanced at the spreadsheet on her laptop. A heart? I suppose you had plenty of heart when you were using my $18,000 to buy your daughter designer bags. I have every one of our 23 recorded phone calls and over 100 screenshots of your texts. My lawyer says it's clear-cut evidence of financial exploitation of a daughter-in-law. Margaret made a choking sound. A lawyer? You're really going through with a divorce? No. The divorce proceedings have already started. I'm going to make you pay in court for treating me not as a person, but as an ATM. Chloe hung up and saved the recording. Until 8 p.m., Derek continued to pound on the door and beg through the intercom, but she put on her noise-canceling headphones and played Beethoven's symphonies. The grand, sweeping music filled the living room, drowning out the pathetic noise from outside. The next morning, Chloe sent the divorce papers via certified mail to Derek's parents' house. Then, she blocked the numbers of every single member of his family. Sitting on her sofa, she watched the morning sun stream through the window. It was the first time in 3 years she had experienced such perfect, uninterrupted silence. No one to bother her, no one to demand anything from her. This was her space, She opened her laptop and wrote one final diary entry. What I protected was not a 1,400 square foot condo. It was my self-respect, which they tried to trample. It was my dignity, which I will never let anyone compromise again. Chloe opened the window wide and breathed in the cool spring air. The stale smell of cigarette smoke was swept away, replaced by fresh, clean oxygen. I'm free, she thought. I'm truly free. A genuine, radiant smile finally spread across her face. The chapter of being a prisoner in the role of a daughter-in-law was over. A new era, as Chloe Miller, was just beginning. The greatest tragedy in this story is the cruel cowardice hidden behind the name of family. To her in-laws, Chloe was not a partner to build a life with, but a convenient tool to fulfill their own desires. The phrase, "you should sacrifice because we're family," is often nothing more than a declaration of intent to diminish another's dignity for personal gain. Chloe's choice offers a clear lesson. Protecting your life's sovereignty and financial independence is not a selfish act, but the most basic line of defense for yourself. The era where unconditional sacrifice is seen as a virtue is over. For those who mistake your kindness for a right and try to devour it, a firm refusal is the only answer. In the end, what Chloe reclaimed was not just the deed to her condo, but the fundamental right to live as herself. This story proves that a life of dignity, even if it means standing alone against a harsh reality, is far more valuable than the false peace gained by living as someone else's ATM. May you all install your own robust security measures, so that your good heart never becomes someone else's prey. If this story resonated with you, please take a moment to lend a finger. Subscribing and liking are the greatest sources of strength that allow us to continue sharing these narratives. Please also leave a comment letting us know where you're watching from and which scene left the biggest impression on you. We read every one of your stories. We hope to see you again with the next one. Thank you.